Hey everybody, and welcome to the Introduction to Motion Graphics program at ADMA. I'm your instructor Ryan Ewell, and we are going to be using Apple's Motion to go over some of the basic things that to do with motion graphics and layers and objects and behaviors and all kinds of things over the next 6 weeks. But to start out, let's just get right into the program that we are going to be using, and that is Motion. Now, Motion should be down here on your dock, right here under Motion, but if it's not, you can just go up to Spotlight here and type in Motion, and it should show up, and just launch Motion. And so here we are in Motion, and this is called the project browser, and this is what usually comes up when you first launch Motion, and it's just a way of selecting the type of project you want to make. Over here you can see we start on the left side here, so we have a blank project if we want to create a blank project, or if we have some recent projects, or these compositions are actually quite interesting. As time goes on and as you have time to look at some of these projects, they actually are quite useful when you look at these. You can actually take them apart. So for instance, if I were to take this title right here and open it up just as an example, just to show you that if I were to double click on it, it would actually open up this template in Motion, and I could actually go in and take a look at how this project was made. So as time goes on, you can actually, and let me just quit out of Motion here and go back in, you can actually look at some of these templates and see how they were made, and then in seeing how they were made, you can actually learn a bit more about making your own projects this way. So I just wanted to point that out, that these compositions are a great way to learn by opening them up and seeing how they're made, and you can do that in a future lesson. But for now, I'm not going to cover Final Cut effects or generators or transitions. We're going to get into these as the course goes along. But today, I just want you to go all the way up to blank again, select blank, select Motion Project, and again, these generators and effects and transitions and titles, we'll get into those in future lessons, but for now, I want you to select a Motion project right here. And now, over on this side, we have some presets. I want you to select the Broadcast HD preset. Now, if you were making a Motion project for another maybe standard definition project, or maybe an NTSC, which is North America, PAL is obviously here in Africa and many parts of Europe, but we're going to select Broadcast HD, and because we are here in Rwanda, we are going to choose 25 frames per second. Now, one thing to take note is that when you select the frame rate of your project, that is one of the things that cannot be changed. So you want to be very careful to choose the proper frame rate when you are starting a new Motion project. So 25 frames per second, we're going to choose that. Now in the duration here, I'm going to double click, and I'm just going to go 500 and hit tab. It's very important, hit tab. Don't hit enter, hit tab, and that will allow me to stay in this project browser without opening up a project. So now we have 5 seconds. Again, if I highlight this, type 500 for 5 seconds and hit tab, now that allows me to have a 5-second project. And here, this is for when you're in the project, if you want to see frames or seconds or time code. This just shows you how the time is displayed in your project, and we'll explain that further later on. But for now, let's just keep it with time code. So we've got a blank, new Motion project, Broadcast HD 1080 at 25 frames per second, 5-second duration, time code's fine, and just hit open. And this will take you into Motion. Now, one thing that I want to point out right away is if you go up into Motion and go to Preferences, and then under Preferences select Project, instead of seeing this here for New Document Show Project Browser, which is what is going to happen whenever you open up Motion for the first time, it's going to show the project browser. What I want you to do is I want you to use Project, and it should say Nothing Selected, and go Choose, and then just do the same thing again. Choose blank, Motion project, Broadcast HD at 25 frames per second for PAL. Make sure that we have 500, hit tab for 5 seconds, time code, and just hit open again. And now what that'll do is every time you start motion, instead of bringing you the project browser, it's going to create a motion project at those settings so that I'll just show you now. So for instance, let's just quit out of motion right now. I'm going to quit. And now watch what happens when I launch motion. You'll notice we didn't get taken to the project browser, we got taken to a project that, as you can see right here, is 5 seconds long. And I'll show you how to do this later, but just real quick, if we go to the inspector for the properties, you can see it's a 1080 project at 25 frames per second at 5-second duration. So from now on, instead of having to choose those settings, it'll automatically choose them for me. Now, in case you ever want to have a different project with different settings, all you have to do is just go up to File, go up to New Project, or New from Project Browser, and you can just, again, change these settings for a one-time different project. But I just wanted you to set it up like that, so make sure you go up to Motion, go up to Preferences, and under Project, make sure you change these settings to a blank motion project, broadcast HD 1080, 25 frames per second with a 5-second duration, because these are the settings that we're going to be using when we're doing most of our motion projects. So that is how to get motion set up for this initial class lesson.